So I'm finally getting around to working on this monstrosity. It's been a little while, but things have been crazy. So I had previously made all my marks. I transferred my little clips that were on the right side to the wrong side, which is the inside. And now what I'm going to do to make sure that I have the fit that I want is I'm going to do what's called basting stitches. It's temporary stitching that way I can kind of see if it's really where I want things to be without cutting any fabric, without even making any permanent stitching, any of that. So I had originally debated moving my pockets, but I don't know. I kind of don't want to mess with them, even though they are down farther than I like. But I am looking at the top, and I'm removing about 5 inches out of the top, and that's going to move those pockets up too. So we'll see where it puts it, and I may not even mess with the pockets. So what I'm doing is you can kind of see already. I use a charcoal pencil when I have light colored fabrics. I've had instances with markers in the past that the washable markers actually stained fabric. It can happen, so I'm overly cautious. So I'm going in and I'm making basically rough marks going across. I am taking the other side, and I kind of made a mark already, and I'm making sure, I'm comparing them. Sorry, you can't see exactly my workspace, but I'm making sure that they are the same. I did take earlier my little tape measure, but my little guy ran off with it and checked, and they're right about 3 inches is what I'm removing. Now for the side, I have my clips kind of roughly marking where I want to take in on the side. So, real quick, I am basically going and making a rough line of how much I want to take it in. And I'm using the clips as kind of my marking points so you can kind of see. And then I'm going to take the other side and compare, because I want them to be equal. I don't want to take so much out or too much on one side and not enough on the other. There's so many things. So while I'm marking this, a basting stitch, like I said, is a temporary stitch. What I'm going to use, just because of the ease of removing it, is just a straight stitch, a regular straight stitch. And in that straight stitch, you stinker, I am going to basically go and make it a wide or long stitch. So I'm going to change the length of my stitches. That way it's super easy. You can just pull one thread. I'm not going to do any back stitching, no securing. So if I happen to accidentally break it while trying it on, that's fine. I am now, let me make sure. I'm going to use my clips to hold the fabric together because it's very slinky fabric. It's very stretchy. It likes to move. I don't have on my machine what's called a, oh, my mind went blank. There is a foot that you can put on your machine that keeps it all, it runs the top. And why my mind has gone blank all of a sudden. But as you go, it basically shoves the top fabric and keeps it in motion with the bottom fabric. for my machine, it's an expensive foot, and so I have not done it. So what I am doing now with the stitching, it actually holds really well, and it will help when I go and take it to the serger and serge it and hold it all together. And also I will probably trim a good portion off at the same time. So I am holding my fabric. I want to secure the opening, the nursing opening, so I'm kind of using the clips to help keep it in place a little bit better. So this is my line, and you can see it goes in quite a bit on the sides, and then it flares a little more. Your pocket is right here. So it's going to cut into the pocket, but it's not going to cut into the opening. It just cuts into the top of the pocket, which is right there. And so that's my mark for it. I wanted to keep that bottom flow because it's big enough that I can just go and jump in. And I can hear my toddlers quite a bit already calling for me. But same thing on this side. I am going to use the fabric, so I am going to mark this, and then I'll get the machine ready and show you here in a minute. Alright, so I now have transferred my marks. Let me show you real quick how I did that. I laid them one over the other. I went and folded this one up and basically made a dotted line, took it and made a straight solid line. I also used my tape measure to kind of measure it and make sure that they were equal. So now that I've done all that, I have set up my machine for a straight stitch. I put it to the longest length. I don't know, it's kind of hard to see over here. So for mine, the longest length is 5. And I am now just going to do a simple straight stitch and then try it on. So, help if I got my foot pedal. And I may not do straight on the line because I'm just trying to make a nice, simple, flowing line. And the other thing I'm going to have to do before I actually go and serge all this is I'm going to have to put the binding back on, because the binding gets tied into some of the serging stitches. So there's that side. Can't forget the tops of my sleeves. And these aren't permanent. I can just pull them straight out, and if you left them in, it's not going to really hold. And because it's a straight stitch on stretchy fabric, it will break if the fabric gets stretched. So this is very, very temporary. This is just long enough for me to see if I like it. Trying to make sure I kind of get that fabric smoothed out and lined up as I go to sew it, because I want it to not get bound up, and I want everything to lay smoothly, because if I do like it, I'm going to trim and then take it straight to the serger. To flow. I can now take my little clippies off, and you will see these are my temporary. Not fancy, and it's not meant to be, because these are very, very temporary, and if I pull too hard it will break or slide out, but it's enough that I can now try it on. So let's do that. Okay, so I'm trying it on inside out. I'm stepping on it, it's so long. That's going to be the next step. But one of the things I don't like, and this is why we do the temporary basting, and I don't like where this seam ended up being, and granted I can lift it and move it back, but I took just a little too much because I took so much out of the sides. I don't like where it lifts this now, so I'm going to actually take out of here probably ½ an inch to drop this down, because when I go and I put that binding back on, it's going to be up in my armpit. I don't like that. But for the sides, I like where it fits much better. It actually pulled it up. My pockets are, so here's my hip bone, and here's the pockets. And the access is now right here. I can come across pretty easy. And one of the things I may do, oh, you coming giving me a hand? I may put a piece of scrap fabric in between. So we'll see, to keep these together. But I'm going to fix this and then try it. Before I go and try it back on, I wanted to show you real quick why the basting stitch is so temporary. So this is where I moved it. So this was the first go. Here's the second go. Here is one of my threads. And now that's free. That is why I use that stitch. So very easy adjustments. Yeah, you do waste a little bit of thread, but I prefer knowing for certain that everything is where I want it to be before I actually go and do my final sewing. So now to try it on again. Okay, so this is, I turned it right side out this time. If you look, here is my extra fabric. So this way I can see, yeah, how good. My arms, it is kind of heavy, so it does get pulled down, but I like where the arms are. So if I have a higher bra, it's not going to show. And when I add my binding, I'm going to add it right against that. And it's not as baggy. I mean, it's still flowy. And you can't really see that I took so much out. Pockets are still kind of low. I'm debating if I want to move them up. I can. It's just more undoing and things. So I'm going to play with that idea, but just as a real quick, let's see how this looks. And I would say it looks a lot better than what it did before. So next step would be to trim and serge, but I think I'm debating on the pockets, because this is how far down they are. They're almost to my knees, and I'm not that tall. The downfall is if I do move the pockets up, here, that does add more weight. So that's why they don't put them there. So I don't know. I may play with that. Or I may change the style of pockets and put 2 outside ones right here, because I do have the extra fabric. Or do a nice contrasting one and make cargo style pockets. I may play with that now. Alright, so here it is for now. The next thing I may do is hem it. You cannot see. It's down to my ankles. Alright. Well, till next time.